A United States aircraft carrier shot down an Iranian drone that aggressively approached the ship in the Arabian Sea on Tuesday, hours before two gunboats operated by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps approached an American-flagged tanker in the Strait of Hormuz and threatened to board and seize the ship, according to a U.S. military spokesman. The two incidents occurred days before United States and Iranian officials are due to meet Friday for diplomatic negotiations meant to avert a military clash. In the first incident on Tuesday, United States forces shot down an Iranian drone as the unmanned aircraft aggressively approached the USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier, which was transiting the Arabian Sea about 500 miles from Iran's southern coast. The Iranian drone continued to fly toward the ship despite de-escalatory measures taken by United States forces operating in international waters. An F-35C fighter jet from the Lincoln shot down the drone to protect the carrier and its personnel. No American service members were harmed during the incident, and no U.S. equipment was damaged. The USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, stands as one of the most recognizable symbols of American naval power and global reach. As a Nimitz-class nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, it represents decades of technological refinement, strategic doctrine, and operational experience shaped by the demands of modern warfare. More than a warship, the Abraham Lincoln functions as a mobile airbase, a command hub, and a floating city, capable of influencing events thousands of miles from U.S. shores. Commissioned in 1989, the Abraham Lincoln was designed during the final years of the Cold War, when the U.S. Navy sought platforms that could operate independently for long periods while projecting overwhelming force. Its nuclear propulsion system allows it to sail for over 20 years without refueling, granting unmatched endurance and flexibility. This capability frees the carrier from dependence on vulnerable fuel supply lines and enables rapid redeployment across the world's oceans. At the heart of the ship's power is its air wing, carrying around 60 to 70 aircraft, including fighter jets, electronic warfare platforms, airborne early warning aircraft, and helicopters. The Abraham Lincoln can conduct air superiority missions, precision strikes, reconnaissance, and humanitarian operations. The flight deck, often described as one of the most dangerous workplaces in the world, is a finely choreographed environment where aircraft launch and recover every few minutes under extreme conditions. This constant rhythm reflects the carrier's ability to sustain high-tempo operations day and night. Equally important is the ship's role as a command and control center. The Abraham Lincoln typically operates as the core of a carrier strike group, surrounded by cruisers, destroyers, submarines, and support ships. Together, these vessels form a layered defensive and offensive network, capable of countering threats in the air, on the surface, and below the sea. From this moving fortress, commanders can coordinate complex joint and coalition operations, integrating naval, air, and sometimes ground forces. The human dimension of the Abraham Lincoln is as significant as its technology. With a crew of roughly 5,000 sailors and aviators, the ship is a self-contained community with its own medical facilities, kitchens, maintenance shops, and living spaces. Life aboard is demanding, marked by long deployments, confined quarters, and intense operational tempos. But it also forges strong bonds and a shared sense of purpose. The professionalism of this crew is what ultimately transforms steel, reactors, and aircraft into real combat power. Over its service life, the USS Abraham Lincoln has participated in major operations ranging from combat missions in the Middle East to humanitarian assistance and disaster relief. These deployments highlight the carrier's versatility. It can deliver decisive military force or provide aid and stability in times of crisis. This dual role reinforces why aircraft carriers remain central to U.S. naval strategy, despite debates about their cost and vulnerability. In sum, the USS Abraham Lincoln embodies the evolution of the aircraft carrier as a cornerstone of modern naval power. Its endurance, striking capability, and global presence make it a critical instrument of U.S. policy and deterrence. As long as control of the seas and skies remains vital, ships like the Abraham Lincoln will continue to sail at the forefront of international security. Hours later, in the Strait of Hormuz, two Iranian gunboats approached the MV Stena Imperative, a chemical tanker operated by Americans flying under the American flag, passing the ship 3 times at high speeds as an Iranian Mohajer drone also flew overhead. During one of their passes, the Iranians threatened via radio call that they would board and seize the tanker. The tanker was in international waters. United States military forces operating in the area responded when they learned of the Iranian threats. The USS McFall destroyer escorted the tanker away from the area, along with defensive air support from the United States Air Force. The situation de-escalated as a result. The USS McFall is an Arleigh Burke-class guided missile destroyer, a warship designed to project power, defend fleets, and operate independently across the full spectrum of naval warfare. Its weapons capabilities reflect the U.S. Navy's emphasis on flexibility, layered defense, and precision strikes. Rather than being optimized for a single mission, McFall integrates air, surface, subsurface, and land attack weapons into a unified combat system that allows rapid adaptation to changing threats. At the core of McFall's offensive and defensive capability is its Mark 41 vertical launching system. The ship carries 90 VLS cells, distributed between the forward and aft sections of the hull. These cells can be loaded with a mix of missiles depending on mission requirements, giving the destroyer exceptional flexibility. Key missile types include standard missiles for area air defense and ballistic missile defense, enabling McFall to intercept aircraft, cruise missiles, and certain ballistic missile threats. Evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, typically quad-packed into a single VLS cell, providing short to medium-range defense against high-speed, maneuvering threats. Tomahawk land attack missiles, which allow the ship to strike high-value targets deep inland with precision from hundreds of miles away. Vertical launch anti-submarine rockets, which deliver torpedoes rapidly to distant submarine contacts. This missile mix allows McFall to function simultaneously as a shield for Allied forces and as a spear capable of precision strikes. Complementing its missile arsenal is a 5-inch 62 caliber Mark 45 naval gun. This weapon provides naval surface fire support for forces ashore, engagement of surface targets such as small combatants or attack aircraft, and limited air defense against close-in threats. While less prominent than missile systems, the gun remains a vital tool for sustained, cost-effective firepower. To counter threats that penetrate outer defensive layers, McFall employs two close-range systems. The Phalanx weapon system, a radar-guided 20mm Gatling gun designed as a last-ditch defense against incoming missiles and crew-served and remote-operated machine guns, which provide protection against asymmetric threats such as small boats. These systems form the innermost layer of the ship's defensive umbrella. The incidents come as President Donald Trump has been weighing a major strike on Iran amid discussions about limiting that nation's nuclear program and ballistic missile production. In the last week, the United States military has accelerated a buildup of military hardware in the Middle East, deploying the Lincoln Carrier Strike Group to the region, along with 3 guided missile destroyers and the Carrier Air Wing, which includes squadrons of FA-18E Super Hornet fighters, F-35C Lightning II fighters, and EA-18G Growler electronic warfare jets. The Navy also has 3 destroyers, the USS McFall, the USS Delbert D. Black, and the USS Mitcher in the region separate from the Carrier Strike Group. The new demands by Iran could complicate efforts by Middle Eastern allies of the United States to broker a diplomatic solution to sky-high regional tensions. The talks had been set for Istanbul, with foreign ministers from Egypt, Oman, Pakistan, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates also expected to attend. Tehran is now asking for an alternate location, Oman, the small Gulf Sultanate that has previously hosted talks between the United States and Iran, and it has requested the scope of the discussions be limited to the nuclear issue. The United States has said its demands for Iran extend beyond an end to its nuclear program to curbing its ballistic missiles and ending support for regional proxy groups. What the changes, first reported by Axios, portend for the diplomatic efforts wasn't immediately clear. Already, some American officials had privately warned that Iran may be using diplomacy to play for time in preventing military action. The 2 key United States participants in the discussions, Witkoff and President Donald Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner, arrived in the region on Tuesday for talks with Israeli officials. Trump said Monday that talks were ongoing but continued to point to the military buildup in the region as evidence of his willingness to order strikes.